Tonight, I'm joined by Christina Spencer, actress, author, paranormal investigator, and host of the Horror History and Hauntings podcast. Coming to us from the haunted heart of West Virginia, we're diving into mysteries of West Virginia haunted history, from its notorious haunted locations to the disturbing patterns of disappearances that plague the ancient mountains. So grab your favorite beverage, dim the lights, and let's dive in. Welcome, Christina. So, how have you been?
Good. Busy, busy, busy,
For,
busy. Like January
oh,
started out like a rocket. But
and I know a lot of you probably do know that I was on Christina's podcast a few months ago. So, and now she's coming here to talk about a bunch of different things with me.
most
So,
definitely.
mhm. What got you into the paranormal?
Mostly it started when I was very young because I had some experiences when I was young that couldn't be explained away. And I was always the nerd in the library that was always researching, the back then it wasn't really because we're talking mid 90s, early 90s. So like they hadn't really like Ed and Lorraine Warren were out, but they weren't as publicly worldwide known. And internet didn't even become a thing till like 96, 97. So like you had to do everything by books. And I would read all of the ghost story books, the little girl haunting of Christine and like, with the paperbacks, like the twins and the triplet books, but the babysitter books, but they were like ghost stories and the Nancy Drews and all that stuff. So, yeah, I think it's been with me like most of my life. And my mom, my mom never was a believer, but my dad had experiences when he was younger and things. So it wasn't something that was talked openly, but it wasn't something that was like, no, that's not real either.
Oh, I remember reading the Goosebumps books. I was old.
That came a little bit after,
I
and
think it was.
yeah, that was more my kids' generation. I'm aging myself. Yeah, but it doesn't bother me. Like that's one thing that I took away from my mom because I'm like, you can't change fastical. That's a new word. Put that in the dictionary. Fastical, a factual statistic. You can't change it. So why be scared of it? So like age, weight, any of that stuff, it's never really bothered me. And it's never really like, because I learned from my mom. My mom's like, and then I've always had the philosophy too that we're not age, we're not an age, we're an experience level. Because
Yeah.
I'm D&D, old school D&D. So I'm like, yeah, I'll stay level, 46 for right now. But yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I ramble. Sorry.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
ADHD gremlin going on strong today. But
So, can you tell us about the Horror History and Hauntings podcast and how you developed the show and what makes your approach a little bit different than others?
what
Yeah.
really started it was a friend of mine, Howie Odell, convinced me to do a podcast. I was terrified, absolutely terrified. I didn't want people to see me. I had so much self confidence issues about being a fluffy woman of grandeur. And, plus I was teased a lot in high school. I have a lot of self esteem, believe it or not, issues. I was so scared. And I'm like, I don't want to do anything with this screen at all. And then because they were wanting me to do it live on Facebook, record it, because back then they put it on Blog Talk. But then I started sending, that's where Bob, where is Bob? Bob, give me your Bob. That's where Bob came from, was the haunted tales from the old Rocky Chair podcast. Because I'd set him up and put candles and record him and then play my stories. And they were based off like real Reddit stories. I was going to the authors and doing it right with like the actual permissions. And then I was reading it and editing and doing that every week. I got really burnt out real quick because
Oh,
like
I can imagine.
that's what started it because I was putting episodes up for that. And then through that and through other things that I was doing, I decided to go back and do an actual podcast because that's what he always wanted me to do, a sit down interview. He's like, you've got charisma. People like to talk to you. You've got something that people beg to have. And I'm like, I don't know about all that. Look at this. And he's like, no, 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 you don't understand. But eventually he convinced me to do the horror history and hauntings. After I did the original Haunted Tales, I started to do one off videos. And my first ones are, you could tell, I'm so terrified. Anyway, I started doing the one off educational videos because I'm like, with my HD, if I find something interesting, I'm going to research the hell out of it. And I got all this information. I might as well do something with it and share it with other people that may have the same interest. So I started with just these one off educational type videos. And then Howie convinced me to come back and do a regular podcast. So that's how the original podcast started. Then I noticed a correlation, wax on, wax off. If you can't see me at home, I'm hand gesturing. And it started when I was doing all the interviews that I had a lot of indie authors that I was interviewing. And to me, it's like one day a week or for an hour is not really enough to give people an interest in a novel. Like, the one-on-one interviews, somebody's like an actor or a paranormal investigator does. So I'm like, how can I help my indie people, because, it's rough out there for an indie girl or guy. And so I created the Horror History and Haunting Library, which is kind of like a book club. I read about 3 days consecutively of a novel, usually start at the beginning, and I just read as far as I can get within those 3 days, but I don't ever finish. I leave the ending for the audience to go experience themselves because that gives a reason for them to actually go purchase the book, and I'm not ruining, them selling, plus I'm working with the author and trying to advertise for them during that period, that month. I call it the author spotlight. I pick one author and we go through one of their novels. And then on the fourth week, we sit down and we have an interview, which is like the normal podcast format, but it's more directed for writing and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
inspiration, maybe a little bit of the book, where they come up with certain ideas, that kind of thing. So that's the Horror History and Hauntings Library. So Monday, I'm trying to do an educational video every week. I missed last week. Sorry. I'm going to try to do that once a week. And then Wednesdays, we do the regular podcast, the Horror History and Haunting podcast. And then Fridays, we do the Horror History and Haunting Library. So it's all on the Horror History and Haunting YouTube channel, or you can look at RNN, Rift Radio Network, on their YouTube, everything, plus other great and wonderful hosts that are part of the network I'm a part of.
That's great. Okay, it sounds like you are quite busy.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't expecting the love and the positivity that I got back. I thought it was going to be the podcast was just going to be something I did for fun because I enjoy it. I love talking and meeting and, the paranormal and the weird is just my jam on toast.
Yeah.
So I love it. So I would do it anyway. But I was so surprised at how many people resonated with it and want to be on, and people get on and they talk. So much fun. I appreciate everybody with doing that. I'm being asked to be involved in other projects, which is great. I love it. But it's been an exciting January, put it that way.
Well, that's great. And it seems like the more you do, the more, people want you to do other things.
Yeah, which is great. But it's like, oh no, this is going to come to a point I'm going to have to start telling people no, and I don't want to because I like it, but I want to actually be able to sleep sometime.
Yeah. What we were just chatting about leads me to my next question. You wear a lot of hats: actress, author, researcher, investigator, podcaster. How do all these roles inform each other in your paranormal overall work?
Well, basically, it's a learning experience. Like I've always had the mindset that life is a learning experience, and we are a amalgam of all our memories. So I'm always for making another memory or something different or exciting or talking to a new person. I have this blindness too when I talk to people because I don't see people as like paranormal investigator. actor, director, blah, blah, blah. I'm always been the type, like, if you talk to me and we're cool in conversation, we're cool because we're two people vibing about the same thing. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think about them as the thing they do. Because when I first started the podcast, everybody's like, well, aren't you friends with them on Facebook? I'm like, yeah, but we're not like, we don't hang out, and go have coffee, They're like, you've been friends with them for like 5 years. Why don't you just ask them? And I'm like, do you think they'll come on? What do you think? But it's just my brain's wired different when it comes to
Yeah.
people. And I was always raised that, no matter if it's a CEO or a janitor, you treat them the same. And everybody has to poop and everybody has to put pants on, one leg at a time, and I forgot the question, by the way. I'm rambling. Yeah. I got on a tangent. My train left the station, made a left-hand
Oh,
turn. You
that's
got to bring it
perfectly
back to the
fine.
track. What was the
Perfectly fine.
what was your the rest
The
of the
question
question?
was all your different hats that you wear. How does it kind of meld together
Meld
to your overall paranormal work?
probably with a prayer and super glue some days because whoo, but and a lot of it I've just been lucky about the interactions I've had with my life and people I've met and been with. I don't think it's so much. I never think of myself as the cause of anything besides trouble. A lot of it for me is just like life experiences. It's almost like for me, I always feel like I've done this and it's been serendipitous that I would get to this point and start being more of a public persona. But it took me a long time to get to a point to be okay with it. I guess the best way to put it, to be okay with me in this form, to be okay about taking center stage. It started when I was a kid and went up into high school. And then I had the fascination with electronics. I have a 2-year electronics diploma from high school because I was that kid, that get in trouble because I'm tearing toys apart to try to figure out how they work. And then I'd lose attention span and not be able to put them back together because I would lose pieces. Yeah, my parents didn't like that part of my personality. I was always very experimental when it comes to like my thoughts and why is this doing that, and it's just how my brain operates. And then after that, my adult life, the experiences I had in my adult life, and that you can't just explain away as just squirrels in the attic or a weird noise at the window. And then it went from there to my actual formal education. Well, I actually started the podcast first. Yeah, I started the podcast. And before that, I did some investigating and was learning how to do that. And then I went to the podcast and then I got my education because I have a bachelor's degree in parapsychology and I'm working on my master's degree. So I kind of grew from there. And because I was doing that, and then I met some people through a podcast, and then I traveled there for a hot minute, which was fabulous and wonderful. But we decided, I wanted to go more paranormal. They wanted to continue their path with the actor and, that kind of thing. And we had a little bit of differences, which nothing bad, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it was time that we kind of do our own thing. I got invited to Adam, who is my agent, which sent me to MaineCon, which sent me to my first public paranormal panel where I actually talked. Because again, Adam's like, with your personality and stuff, you would be great on stage. You want to do this thing because I knew you wanted to get into public speaking. I'm like, well, yeah. Are you crazy? Absolutely. I got to meet all these people that I had no idea. That's where I was going with what I was saying before, because I've been friends with people online because I'm the type of person, you're good to me, I'm going to talk to you as long as you don't get creepy, but don't instant message me, hey, how you doing? Beautiful, because it's not going to happen. But if I know who you are and interact with you, like in online space, like I connect with people as people. I don't connect with who they are. And so when I went to MaineCon and I started to walk around and interact with people, there were so many people that were there that had booths and were doing public speaking things that I already knew, but I hadn't realized their connection in the paranormal community as a whole. So it was really cool because I got to go up there and like actually like have brief conversations because it's hectic, with April Brusset, Patty Negra, the guys from Third Eye, the guys from Get Haunted, the guys from, it was like, oh my God. And it was such a thrill for me because these guys are professional podcasters or mediums and
Yeah.
things like that. And it was so exciting for me because I had this moment where people were like, oh my God, it's you. And I'm like, in real life. And I'm like, yeah, you know who I am? Like, what? I'm just the little mountain girl that lives in the woods and plays with goats. Like, what do you mean? And so it was like mind blowing for me. Once you get a taste of like being accepted, I guess for
Yeah.
once in a community, it's very addicting. I guess that's way to put it.
I've found since August when I started doing my podcast, paranormal community, they're very open to. I'm not afraid, as a lot of people know, I'm not afraid to message you and say, "Hey, it's Jeremy from the
Right.
Closet Historian. You want to my podcast?" I'm not bashful.
I've learned not to be like, and it's not easy and it's not every day that I can be my glorious self. There are days that I end up, as a cocoon in my blankets on my bed for the entire day. That's
Yeah.
just being human. But yeah, it was an experience because I had no idea. Like, duh, Christina, you're not stupid, but I never realized how interconnected the horror genre when it comes to actors and movies and music and things like that are interweaved with the paranormal community. And so that was cool because I've always been kind of you know, the Tales from the Crypt was like my bedtime stories, the ghost stories to tell in the dark books. I had all those.
Yeah.
Like I was that kind of kid. So it's like, and my first movies experiences like were Jason and Freddy Krueger. So it's like, you know, it's like icing on the cake. And doing that, like how I ended up doing some of the acting stuff is again happenstance. Like I just happened to be with people that were doing that, and they're like, "Hey, you want to come along? Sure, let's do this thing." That's how I met like how Heidi McCack from Heidi McCack Films through doing indie stuff, and also Mandy and Anthony Camano with the Flower City Butcher movie.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's been exciting, which I enjoyed too. Like, and I'm not against doing that. Plus, like doing the podcast and working with an agent for the first time in my life. Like, that's how I've met a lot of the authors that I know. When people find out you're a writer, because that's something else I do, they're like, "Oh, you write?" And then you kind of connect there, and then you add the horror and the paranormal, and then it
Yeah.
it
It all
all
fits
meshes together. So it's like I think partly it's my ADHD because I like having multiple attention directions. I guess way to I guess the best way to I like multiple projects and I like doing different things. So it keeps my tinglies feeling all warm and yummy. But yeah, that's how basically I got into everything. It's just a lot of it was chance and happenstance and just meeting the right people and
Yeah.
being a bit of reckless by nature. Oh, you want to go to Salem with a bunch of strangers? Sure, let's do that. Like, my boyfriend so adamantly pointed out, he's like, "You sure that's safe?" Like, I'm like, "Too late now. I've already said I'm going." So, I wasn't axe murdered, so that's good. But yeah, that's part of it too. Is being willing to take a chance on a situation, but
Yeah.
also know when something starts not feeling good to you, your spidey tinglings like, I don't know if I jive with that, learning to pull back out of it too. So, you know, it's a learning
Yeah.
experience, and I'm learning how I was trying to navigate all this new world the best I can. But
Yeah. You will be a panelist, I believe, again this year at the
oh,
Arrow
Maine
or Silent.
Paranormal and Horror Convention
Not remember the
6.
date.
It's
September.
yeah, it's because I have I ADHD. ADHD to where I'm going to 2 conventions back to back. I'm gonna
Oh,
go. I can't remember if it's mid-September, into September. I think I think it's the 12th and 13th.
I
is
think so
Maine
too.
Con. And then the following week, I go to Culture Con in Pennsylvania. I think it's in Pennsylvania. So, yeah. And my daughter was not thrilled that I did that to her.
Oh,
But I was like, yeah, because she does these wonderful resin art pieces.
oh,
So it gives her an opportunity to sell her stuff and my opportunity to kind of talk to people. And once I get stuff that I can sell, then I can. I can't figure
yeah.
out how to do that either. But so I said, I'm a running mess, but it's worked for me so far. So, I am what I am.
I know
Caffeinated and unmedicated. That's just how I roll.
the main one is on my bucket list. I'm not, not sure I'm going to make it this year, but it is on my eventual bucket list to go, but because I've heard very, very good things about the main ParaCon.
Yes. Yes. I had
From ever,
a blast. I wish I would have had more time because it was the first convention I've ever been to and that kind of thing. Like I wish I would have had more time to realize so many people like I already knew were going to be there because I would have liked to have connect with them before and maybe after. But
yeah,
because of the time thing and stuff, like it was my first thing and I was in awestruck of everything. Like I took some pictures, but I really didn't take any pictures because I was just I'm notorious for it because I get so in the moment that I don't take time to make picture
yes,
memories.
take the picture. Yeah,
Take the picture. Everybody was so warm and so welcoming, and it's the fact like it is a community of like-minded people. We're all there because we're a little bit weird, and I love that. And to be able to sit down with people that are obsessed with the same things you're obsessed with was fabulous. It was shocking to me because there's all these people. I'm like, oh my God, like you've done this and this and this, and you know who I am? Oh my God. That's what blew me away, like multiple things. And got, meeting all the people like that through the historically haunted media, through my agent that I kind of got to know with, and we kind of got to hang out a little bit during the convention, like the radicals. And that's how I met Derek. Barton was through Adam. I got to meet the guys from Nesper, which they were really, really cool. And I'm sorry I didn't make it back upstairs. I'm sorry. Because they were there with the Devil on the Run tour and they had Annabelle and stuff. And they offered to let me go up and see their display and walk it through with me. But unfortunately, time constraints and there was a lot of stuff going on. I wasn't able to go back up there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
I
guys.
know last year when Annabelle was there, I really wanted to go. I mentioned it to my daughter, and she was like, "No."
My daughter
She
would have
says,
went, yes, let's go. I'll
"No."
get in the
She
car.
was like, she don't mind, the spooky and paranormal, but she was like, "No, I am not going if Annabelle's there."
No, I have four daughters, technically, I guess, because I've been with my current partner for like 9 years now. So I've been in a majority of her life. So she's might as well be one of mine. But my oldest is like me. She's like my mini me, except she's bigger than me. So she would be down in a heartbeat. My middle daughter, MJ Mystic, she would probably go, but she'd be like, I ain't going in there. I ain't touching nothing. My third would go because she's my skeptic. She's like, yeah, I don't believe it's real, so I want to go. I want to prove to you, mom. She's kind of on the fence about things. My youngest would be like, yeah, let's go for the experience. She's like, I don't want to touch anything. She would be more of a cautious. I think my oldest would be the more like, let's go. Like, I want to go. That's why she's like, when I was doing next year, she's like, yeah, yeah, definitely that one. I'm going because I didn't get to go last year. I'm going this year.
There's going this year.
Yeah. So it'll be at least her, me, and her girlfriend for that one. So I'm excited because then they get to see, what mom does in these strange trips she takes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, no, speaking of haunted dolls, I don't know if I've told you through our messaging, but Mandy, the haunted doll in British Columbia.
Yeah.
She's at a museum, and I can't remember the name. I had reached out for a while. I was reaching out to different haunted locations, see if they might want to come on. And of course, if any haunted locations would like an interview, you can contact me through Facebook or Christina. We would both love to speak with you.
I can't say what I'll do on screen, but it's like
Anyway,
because I'm so impulsive by nature. Like I'm a goofball. Just naturally, I'm a goofball. And Adam likes to try to say, "Oh, but you're a comedian too." No, I'm not. I'm just a goofball. But yeah, I can't guarantee I won't show you the socks I have on or something weird like that. But
you know,
I'll have a good time.
I was reaching out and I had seen that I never did get them to get back to me on like doing a virtual interview, but they said, "Oh yeah, come visit Mandy in person and you can do the interview here." And I don't know if I'm ever going to make it to British Columbia.
Love to.
Yeah,
So
so I got
pay
like
me
I
to be
kind of
there.
got an invitation to go visit Mandy.
That's
I've heard some
cool.
stories. She's as freaky as Annabelle, so
I have some supposed haunted dolls.
oh, do you?
Yeah. Shit. They just happened to be right beside me because I moved them
Oh,
because we were fixing the roof in the living room. And they're kind of dusty because they're out where the wood stove is. But come here. This is Elizabeth. And this one, no, that one was Emily. I'm sorry, Emily.
he's gonna get mad at you.
Yeah, right. This is Elizabeth. Yep.
Oh, she's cute.
You're like, yeah, she's cute. Yeah. Somebody contacted me about these dolls a while back. They're not malevolent in any way, shape, or form. The worst thing is the one with the dress here, Elizabeth. She makes women, when they hold her, sometimes very, very sad. This outfit, I think, is an actual christening gown. The original story behind them, somebody was a shop owner, like a shop oddities owner, and there was actually 3 dolls. But when he went to go get these dolls out of stores to send them to me, he can't find the 3rd doll for some reason. They were all packaged together. He can't find the 3rd doll. But these girls would cause mischief overnight. They like to knock things over and break things. And the people that brought them in was a granddaughter that inherited them from their grandmother. She said she didn't like the vibe that they gave off. That's all the information they had. And the one
Oh,
girl, Emily, had a tag on her that had her name. That's why I said Emily's Emily. I just named Elizabeth because I felt like she was an Elizabeth. So he wanted rid of them. So I took them on. And when they were in the box, I did get some K2 response. But then once they come out of the box, and it could be the location in the house, because I didn't really do a lot of, I was just like, I was wondering what this would do if I put a K2 on top of it. But once they've been, I've had nothing really chaotic with them. Like the people that I've let hold them are especially Elizabeth. Like I said, for women, like I think there's a connection of some sort of like lost child, like somebody that's died or somebody that was in mourning or the child passed or something that's attached to her because it does make you sad. She makes you want to hold her, but that's about it. Like I haven't had any weird. And then my youngest stayed with us and she had, when she was a senior, and she had a little bit of some paranormal stuff happen with the dolls in the house, but nothing evil or malevolent. Like she heard whispers and talking sometimes, and like they just make you feel kind of sad sometimes. That's about it. Like they're not evil or bad. They're just, you
yeah,
know. So I
yeah.
took them on because, you know, it's an interest of mine. Plus, like I know how to handle them. A lot of people don't know how to, respectfully
Exactly.
handle haunted objects. But
Hopefully, she doesn't get mad that you called her the wrong name.
yeah, well, they're kind of used to it by now, I think.
Oh,
They just are. I have to go through the roll call when it comes to my kids, and sometimes I even get dogs mixed up that haven't had for like 10 years. And now I've got grandkids that I do it. Now I have all my kids' names, all their names. And we have like 5 cats, 3 dogs, and 2 goats. So yeah, it's a roster. And it just turns into, hey, you're the one I'm yelling at. Stop it. But anyway, you were talking about haunted dolls, but yeah, those have been the experience I've had. Nathan has a haunted doll.
I did. He was talking about that last week on, well, this is a few weeks ago, since this is going to be airing like 2 weeks from now, from when we're recording here. But he was talking about that on on Jeremy Cotter's new show that's on Wednesday nights.
Yep. Twisted Tales.
Twisted Tales, yes.
Yep.
So he was talking about that last week on there. I didn't realize that he had one until then. But
Yeah, I got to, when I was in Maine, I got to meet Ian, which is his haunted doll, which is kind of a clown doll. And he has this beautiful case that he created for Ian. And with Ian, I didn't know till after when I talked to him a little on Sunday. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, the Ian makes, and it was weird because our booth was kind of diagonally across from the Radicals, and the Radicals were borrowing Ian for a while for some experimentation that they were doing. And so Ian was sitting there, and I had no idea it was haunted or anything. Plus, like, I don't pay attention sometimes. And there was a sign saying, "Do not touch, it's haunted." But, I wasn't, I was doing my own thing. And I was sitting there and I was like, man, there is something over there. It feels like it wants my attention. I don't consider myself a psychic at all. I'm kind of intuitive. There's another word for you. I have a great vocabulary, but then I also try to add my own. I don't know what that is. Anyway, like Ian, like I didn't know about Ian, and I'm like, something keeps like, I feel like I should go over there. Like something wants me to see it, or there's something over there that keeps grabbing my attention. And then I come to find out through talking with Nathan and Danny from the Rascals and Morgan, Nathan's girlfriend or wife, that's kind of Ian's MO. Like he's very attention seeking. He wants you to notice him and stuff. So like it was weird that I felt that before I knew that was what he does. I had a weird feeling like there was something inside of the doll, not just the spirit, like something like a physical thing in there. But Nathan said he investigated it and put a camera because the leg was broken. Because one day he decided to take a kamikaze dive off, I think, his kitchen table at the time. And he stuck a camera up in the leg that broke. And he said he didn't see anything in it where he could see. So I don't know. It would be neat if later on, like if they do an X-ray or something and there's something in there, but it could just be me, it's not an exact science. So it's not like, so who knows what that was about, but yeah, Nathan's really great. Nathan was on the panel with us and Jeremy Connor, Nathan Atwell. It was Adam, myself, and Russ Stivers. And that was the paranormal panel for last year. A bunch of great guys. It was wonderful.
That's a dynamic panel.
Yeah. It was a great panel. If you missed it, I don't know who all is going to be on the panel this year, but make sure if you're at MaineCon, check out the paranormal panel. I will be there. I'm more than happy to talk to people after. I'm very approachable. I love people. So if you have a question, comment, feel free to walk up to me. Like I'm not shy. I'm a little loud at times, but I'm not shy. But yeah, it was awesome. Like the people, then they had some very good galleries and panels, and just it was the cream of the crop when it comes to specialists and getting, they had I think it's ESP, the guy that he makes a lot of really awesome equipment. He does the bells.
Okay. Ding! I think I know who you're talking about.
I can't think of his name. I'm so sorry. But he makes some of these amazing REM pod electromagnetic kind of detectors. And he's got like lanterns and ding bells and toys and things. He does some amazing stuff. Like I said, and there was just so many amazing people. And it's a really good community, and they're very welcoming. So yeah, if anybody has a chance, check out MaineCon. I have a feeling CultureCon is going to be the same way. It's a lot of the 24 Hours in Hell people, Larissa, Rex, and David Childers, and Laura. And I'm trying to think who else is part of that project. My brain just blanked. Anyway, a bunch of great people. They're the one doing CultureCon this year. So I'll be there. I'm not speaking on that one because their panels and stuff were already full, but I will be there and we'll be doing resin stuff. But I will be there, and maybe a book by then, but we'll see.
Very
Maybe
nice.
actually a couple books because I'm doing some short stories for some anthologies and then trying to write my own book. So we'll see. But it's a fiction. It's not.
Not a paranormal.
It's paranormal, but
uh,
it's fiction. It's not
yeah, yeah.
nonfiction. I want to do nonfiction eventually. I like the creative outlet that writing gives.
Well, I know that we've promised the audience that we'll talk about haunted West Virginia. What haunted places have you been in the West Virginia Appalachia area?
When it comes, I haven't done any public investigations. Most of the stuff I've done is more private, more stories than
Oh,
actual.
we'd love to hear a few stories.
One of my favorite West Virginia ghost stories is probably the Greenbrier ghost. She's one of my favorite stories because it was the first documented case where they used an actual ghost experience for evidence in a murder convention. And the guy died at the Moundsville Penitentiary that did the deed. But it's an interesting story because it's all about a girl living in a rural, West Virginia town that gets mixed up with the wrong guy, is basically what happens. She thought she was in love. Her parents didn't want her to be with this guy, and they sensed he was bad news. And then she got with him anyway, and they got married. She had just found out that she was pregnant and was dealing with the whole morning sickness and things. And this guy, his nickname was Trout, believe it or not. He was a,
Oh,
what's the word? Ironsmith. And he like did horseshoe. I forget the word for it. My brain ain't braining. But he did like the horseshoes and the metal fixtures for different things. He went home for lunch that day, like he normally did. Their house was up on the hill above where his workshop was. He went up for dinner. He came back down. He went back to work. There was a family, a little boy, African American boy, that would come into the workshop. He kind of helped with the family, and the guy would pay him to help. And he said that his wife, was it Zora? I think her name was Zora or Zona. She wasn't feeling well. He's like, "Can you go up and check on her? There's couple little things that you can do up there." So he went up there. The little boy found her crumpled at the bottom of the stairs. So he run back down. He told everybody, like, "Hey, she's not moving. Something's wrong." So they brought in the doctor. By the time the doctor got there, Trout had went back to the house and he was cradling his wife and like holding her face, and he wouldn't let anybody close to her. And they figured at the time that he was just so distraught over her passing, because at the point that she was passed, that he didn't want anybody touching her. And so they left him, at peace. And what they suspected at the time is she fell down the stairs and broke her neck. But they went ahead and had the funeral. She was buried. Her daughter was very unsettled about her passing. She would pray every night for a sign that her daughter was okay, that she moved on, like, as any mother would. And then one night, there was a portal of light that appeared and it opened up into a doorway. Supposedly, her daughter walked out, told her, like, she didn't die, she was murdered, and went back through the doorway and left. This very distraught and made the mother very distraught about it. And the first time she appeared, she kind of ignored it and was like, "Okay, I'm just grieving. I'm seeing things." And back in the time, there wasn't paranormal enthusiasts or paranormal investigators or researchers. So she was afraid, like, if she told people, people were going to think she was, batshit crazy and, shun her. She was very religious. And so the second night, she had the same visitation, except the daughter basically rotated her head to show her basically how her neck was broken. And then she left, which scared her so bad that she's like, "No, I have to do something. Like, this is definitely my daughter. I know my daughter, and it's not being told the way it should." So she went to the commissioner, which was kind of like the law enforcement person in the town, and knocked on his door in the middle of the night. He come down, he let her in, sit down, and she's like, "I don't know how to tell you this," obviously very distraught. And she finally told the guy, the law enforcement, like, My daughter is visiting me and she's telling me that Trout killed her. And I believe what she's saying. Like there's something not right about her death. And he was so compelled about her story that they went and dug up Sora's body. They brought it into the church because back then it's not like they had mortuary and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So they brought her into the church and did a basic autopsy. And he, with the autopsy, because during the funeral, she had a scarf around her neck that her husband said was her favorite scarf. But when they removed the scarf and they started to examine and open up her neck and chest area, he had squeezed her neck so hard that he disconnected her head from her spine and
Ooh.
completely like crushed her neck. Like, because he was so strong, he just,
Yeah.
you know, destroyed her neck. So that's, and they could tell it was obviously strangulation, with the bruising and everything. So that he finally got tried. And during that court hearing, the mother testified about her hauntings, about her daughter coming to her and telling her what happened, that he was angry because she was sick with the pregnancy and couldn't fix him a meal like he wanted. She only had the energy for like fruit, cheese, and bread for his lunch. And he
Yeah.
snapped and killed her. And then there's other parts, about some stuff down in the basement. Because it's been a while since I've done the research on that one, because that was like one of my first videos. But and there was an excellent book. It was called The Greenbrier Ghost. I have it somewhere here in the house where they dive into the whole history and the area and everything. But yeah, that one's always stuck with me as like one of my favorites. My second one's probably Screaming Jenny, which is a tale that comes out of Harper's Ferry. And that's about a girl that poor, not unmarried during, because back then when they built the railroad, they had all these different sheds for different equipment and different things to build the railroad. And Jenny, after they were done, they just had all these sheds lying about, and she was poor and homeless, and it was wintertime. She took over one of those sheds to kind of live in and survive. And Jenny was very well known in the community, the homeless community, because she was very giving and she tried to help where she could, given her limited, because she was dirt poor. But there's times she would skip meals to give meals to other people that were more starving than she was. And she had gotten hold of a wood stove and put it in this little shed. And she was heating up broth on the stove, on this wood stove. And one of the embers come out onto her dress. Back then, simple dresses were made of wool. If you've ever seen wool go up in flame, it goes up quick.
Yeah.
So before she realized that she was on fire, she was on fire. She'd run outside to try to seek help, would try to use the snow to put herself out. She couldn't. And in her panic of being engulfed in flame, screaming, she ran across the tracks and she was hit by the train.
Oh.
Now, ever since then, and because she was poor and because nobody really knew, she didn't have family or anything, she was buried in an unmarked grave at the cemetery. So she's kind of a restless spirit. So from that point on, when you come out of the tunnel, sometimes the new conductors have to stop because they think they hit a fiery woman in the middle of the tracks to this day. The conductors that are kind of used to it, believe it or not, won't stop. But can you imagine flying in the middle of the night with a glowing ball of a human being screaming? You hit it and you get out and there's nothing.
Yeah, that's freaky.
Hmm. And it happens to this day.
Wow.
There's
Oh,
some phenomenal stories in West
no, I
Virginia. I
imagine.
love West Virginia stories. And that's just
Yeah,
talking about ghost stories. The
that's yeah,
cryptid
just go.
stories are just as
Well,
amazing.
that's kind of where I was going to lead that to is, there's the Mothman. Uh,
Hmm.
of course, in Appalachia, there's a lot of reports of Bigfoot and other creatures.
Oh my gosh, we have some wild ones. We have the Flatwood monsters. We have the white things. We have, of course, Mothman. Everybody knows Mothman, but
Yeah,
we've got some phenomenal, weird cryptids. The Snollygaster is one of them. Each one, there's even a veggie man. which is kind of interesting. He was like part vegetable, part human, alien type thing.
Oh,
I swear to God, if you look up Betsy Man, West Virginia, there's a cryptid. So there's
yeah,
some
I'll have to look into that.
wild, yeah, there's some wild stories out in West Virginia. Because, well, and it's always like I always like to point out that it's one of the very few places that existed when Pangea existed. I mean, the mountains were higher and we had water, but
Yeah,
it stayed relatively in the same spot when all the continents spread out. So it's like
yeah,
one of the oldest, if anything lived back in that day, could still be here because
yeah,
like it still exists. So it's like it's kind of wild if you think about it. And you were talking because we were talking before the show about the 411, and there's a lot of like 411 tales about the Appalachian Trail and the Appalachian Mountains in particular. So it's an interesting place to grow up and to hear stories and stuff like that. Cause I'm like literally grew up and I still live now because I moved around
yeah,
everywhere. But there's Maryland and then there's a little we call it the tea cup handle, the Eastern Panhandle, and then Virginia. And we're kind of smashed. And that's where the Appalachian Mountains go through those three
yeah.
states.
And the
So,
trail goes through.
well, the trail kind of goes up to Harper's Ferry
Yeah,
and stops. There's only a short area of the Appalachian Trail that's in West Virginia, and it ends at Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. But we can still have a lot of mountainous areas, and this area of West
yeah,
Virginia is not very populated in some areas. So there's a lot of forest and national forest and things where anything could be out there. And I think that's part of the reason West Virginia has so many cryptids and,
cryptids. What's your
unexplained
what?
things.
What is your theory on Bigfoot? Kind of interdimensional?
If I could pick a theory, I think it's definitely possible that we have something out there that we haven't discovered because I think it's human hubris to think otherwise because we're constantly finding things in places that we previously had no access to. And one of the things that's hard for us to access because we are human beings and require certain things like oxygen is cave systems. And there's a lot of connectivity. I mean, logically, if there's cave systems, there's places people can get lost in, they can fall. So they can explain part of the mysteries of disappearances on the Appalachian Trail and other things. But I do think that there is something out there that we cannot explain that forms in a way that looks like a hairy, large ape like creature, like a Bigfoot. Now, is it a Bigfoot or is it something else? Because there's a certain degree of intelligence along with it. And I think, maybe it's something that is smarter than us because we seem to be tied into material things in this make believe thing called money that we created, where
Yeah,
they could be smarter than we are and realize how silly that is. And they could be a whole, you know, different species that understands the balance of nature and what truly is riches, like time and family and love and all that. And I
yeah,
think there's just so much out there that I think you're almost stupid if you don't believe, if that makes sense, because it's just such a closed minded way of thinking. But I believe that they have either some ability to camouflage like instantaneously, like a light like refraction kind of thing. And it could be like a chameleon
type,
octopus type thing where it just kind of blends in, or it is some sort of way that they're able to transport themselves some other way. I'm not a cryptozoologist, it's not
yeah,
my
yeah,
specialty, but I would suspect like some sort of portal system or jumping system or something that we aren't familiar with.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
something natural and comes organic to them.
Because everybody has such different varying
Exactly.
on,
And none of us know. And even people that are specialists, they don't know. No, they have speculations.
yeah,
But, I think it's always good to hear another person's point of view and the way they think. And I don't try
yeah.
to judge. Yeah,
Because
everybody has their story to tell.
it's very paranormal, ghosts and all that really mesh in with the whole cryptids or
Oh, yeah.
UFOs. 'Cause I know that I've heard a few different theories about ghosts and UFOs. So
Yeah, and I think that's partly why I think of cryptids kind of that way because, like, when I was a young kid, there was a gentleman. I know his last name was Bell, but I can't remember his first name. Bob, I think. He came to our house because my dad had an experience when he was young, and he's actually in a book. I can't remember. It's something about UFO sightings in West Virginia or something. It's an orange cover, but I can't remember exactly, but his story is actually in that book. But in my dad's telling story, he was doing security and there was a whole ruckus because where he did security was like mines and they had certain people that lived like close to the mines, like on the property. And there was something like destroying their porch and causing a bunch of ruckus. So they called security. My dad reported to the scene and there was a white Bigfoot type creature trying to like get in this poor old lady's trailer, and dad scared it off, chased it into the woods, and then according to his account, this and I think that's partly why I'm so open-minded about things because this is where it gets weird. In his the story he told me and what he told the guy, I'm actually, believe it or not, an uncredited illustrator for that book because I was like 12 and dad's like, can you draw what I'm telling you? And I like on a piece, I think it was an envelope, I drew like what the ship is look like according to my dad, and it's for him to show this author guy, and he put it in the book. But it isn't so funny that. But dad said that he chased it into the woods, and he's calling trying to get the police to, he's doing his thing, and he chased it in the woods, and then they come to like a clearing in the middle of the woods, and there was a UFO, and it just kind of beamed him up, Scotty, and vanished. So it like that's why I said I come from a long line of weird. So I can't really say. That's why I always put like when people talk about Bigfoot, I kind of put it in my brain like more of a technology intelligence type of thing.
very interesting.
I know. And it happened in West Virginia. So that's what I'm saying. West Virginia is a weird place, man. Like,
There's just so much. Yeah. And we didn't even, I've made a whole list of questions. And I
I'm
think we
sorry.
only,
I talk a
oh,
lot.
oh that's basically fun. I think we had a great, it just means I have those questions for the next time you're on.
Most definitely.
Where can people find you? When's your show? I know a lot of this, but I'm gonna let you say it all. Uh,
I'm really easy to find. If you look up Christina Spencer, you'll see my beautiful face. And I think I have red hair at the time, bright red hair. Not this red hair, like red hair, like fire engine red hair. I think that, or maybe it's the panel picture now. Yeah, I think my profile picture is the panel from Maine Con. That's how you find me. There's a panel picture. It says Christina Spencer. You can find me on Facebook. I also have a Facebook group named after the YouTube channel, the Horror History and Haunting Facebook group. We talk a lot of podcasters on there, a lot of people that are investigating and doing things. I try to share like my friends in the community, my other podcasting buddies. Like when I see it, I try to share it out. It's just me. If you want to check out the Horror History and Hauntings YouTube channel, because all my podcasts and educational stuff is archived on there. Even my old Haunted Tales from the Old Rocking Chair podcast is on there. So yeah, check it out. I try to do events for different shows. Sometimes I get busy. I'm trying to do educational videos that come out on Monday at some point. I haven't decided what time. I'm still messing with that. Wednesdays, we do regular podcasts where I sit down and have a conversation with somebody and they tell their story. And then on Fridays, we do the library, which we do the monthly highlight of a novel and an author. And I read their book for 3 weeks and then we do an interview. And, I'm also, since I have the space, I'm going to be the MC and the host of the Horror Fest in Elkins, West Virginia, to benefit the Green Eggs Foundation, which is a foundation that is trying to get the arts back in hands of children. Because of our educational construct, a lot of the arts, music, paint, drawing, writing, all the arts are being taken out of schools. They're trying to get funds to get instruments in kids' hands, paint brushes in kids' hands, computers if they want to learn graphic design in these kids' hands, and lessons to learn those things. They want to eventually have a location where people can come as a community and take classes and have workshops and all that great stuff. And that's at Elkins. The Green Eggs Foundation is inspired by my nephew, Sam Green Eggs, his life, because he passed away, unfortunately. So that's what inspired this foundation. So I'm very passionate about that. I'm helping out with Heidi McCack Films. I'm helping her. Right now, she's doing Wherein Lines Continues, which is an episodal film she is creating. It's 8 episodes. It's about a female serial killer. Check that out if you want to help out. We're always looking for producers and help on that. I'm doing some anthologies. I'm writing a book, fictional novel. So, yeah, I'm busy. I'm always more than happy to be on anybody's podcast. If you'd like to hunt me down, Jeremy can provide you the information. I think that's everything.
Yeah, and for the YouTube wise, I have we'll probably do the collaborator feature on YouTube. So under this video, there'll be a subscribe button. You can if you haven't subscribed to mine, subscribe to Christina's YouTube. Well, Christina, it was a pleasure having you.
It's a pleasure being here. Sorry about my chaos. Caffeinated and unmedicated. That's my,
We'll have to do this again because there's so much to talk about.
Oh yeah. I could talk for hours. It's just me. That's my talent.
So, a huge thanks to you for coming on here. Make sure you check out the Horror History and Hauntings on YouTube, Facebook, and I believe you cover everything from paranormal to true crime to everything in between.
Oh yeah, cryptids, UFO encounters, yeah, the weird stuff, the stories, and I even do history, unknown histories. Like I did a story about how Beauty and the Beast is actually based on a real story. Did you know that? So that's
very interesting.
So yeah, check us out. It's a good community of people. We're not large, but it's good folks.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe so you never miss one of our weekly or twice a week now, because this is actually the first Wednesday episode of starting the double episodes, Wednesday, Saturdays. Journey into haunted history. Hit the like button, drop a comment, and share this with your fellow history buffs or paranormal enthusiasts. Remember, history books close, but some stories refuse to end. Keep exploring the shadows, and I'll see you on Saturday.
Bye, guys.